Welcome to my Pokemon Nuzlocking guide about PKHaX. I'm going to be showing you how to export your save to PKHaX so you can use the calculator and see your IVs and edge your mons. Let's get into it. So first, we're going to run over the basic components. One, you're going to need a emulator. I'm going to be demonstrating with Citra. It should work with all other emulators. You'll see later on down the line. Then you'll need your calculator if you want one. And then you're going to need PKHaX, asterisk, whatever. Because it's a PKHaX, you can see here, it says PKHaX, which is really important if you're going to play any ROM hacks or anything like that. So I'll show you what you need to do first. So when you download PKHaX, you might get a folder like this. You can see here clearly it says PKHaX, and when you open it, that's how it opens. Nothing special, and you can drag your save file in here, but we'll get more into that later. And you can have all your tools here. This is just normal PKHaX. But when you open PKHaX, you can see here it says illegal mode activated, please behave. And then it's like normal PKHaX. That's what you want to see when you install PKHaX. So how do you install PKHaX? Well, what you need to do, there's two ways. You can either right click here, rename, delete the E with the A. Now it's spelled exactly like this. Whenever you open it, it should say illegal mode activated. But how I do it, because I followed it from a DRXX tutorial, you take a .bat file, or you just take a TXT file, a new text document file, it doesn't matter what you name it, and then you copy the thing in the description, you paste it into your notepad document, and then you file, save as, and then you, down here, you change it to all files, and then delete the entire name and rename it to PKHaX with a lowercase a .bat. And it says, do you want to replace? Yes, because I already have it. And then whenever you run it, it'll say the same thing. It's up to you which one you want to choose, but each one works. If you do the .bat method, make sure this is how your PKHaX is spelled with an E, because otherwise it'll give you an error message. But now that we've got PKHaX, you should almost always have it open if you want to expedite the process of using your save file to its fullest extent. So how do we import a save file here? So this is where it's sort of emulator dependent. Some you can find your .save file really easily, and then just drag it in here. And others like Desmumi, you have to export backup memory. Basically, you just go File, Export Backup Memory, and then you just save a place like on your desktop or something, and then you just drag it in there like a thing, and then that should work. And then you export and then import backup memory. So Desmumi, it's a little slower, which is why it's kind of more annoying. But I'm going to be demonstrating on Citra because this is what I'm playing right now. So here I'm in Pokemon Ancestral X, which is a ROM hack of Pokemon X that I'm currently playing through. And you really need to calc everything. So my problem is that on most emulators, this would be very slow. But I figured out a way on how to make it fast. What you always want to do when you start exporting your save is just save the game. Automatically, you always need to save your game whenever you're exporting your save. Just makes sense. So on Citra, how you find your save file is you go File, Open Citra folder, and then go to SDMC, Nintendo 3DS, all the zeros, go to Title, keep clicking, and then if you have multiple games, then this is just trial and error to find. But I know that this is my Pokemon X because it has a D. So I go here, then Data, then more zeros, then here, main. Main is what you're looking for. I just have a copy so it's easier for me to reset. So you can minimize your game. I like to have mine just set up like this, and then I have everything just over it, and whenever I need to export my save, I just save, and then I minimize this, and then I can just drag this, the main file, into PKHaX, and you see it just loads up my save right away. So after you import your save, what can you do? You can export a Pokemon Showdown set, you can view your EVs and IVs, you can edge your Pokemon, and you can basically do whatever you want to your save file, like adding items, checking event flags, giving yourself Pokemon. But how we Nuzlockers do it is mainly for exporting to a calculator and edging and viewing IVs and also adding items. Everything else is sort of viewed as cheating, but play however you like, I guess. So as an example, I'm going to use this cast form. Why not? It's level 12, we can see right here, and we can see the total amount of XP. So as an example, we're going to start with edging. Probably the most important thing to know for a beginner that is struggling on gym fights, or just anyone that's struggling on gym fights, I guess. It's really, really important. It can give you the win sometimes because it gives you more stats compared to your opponents. You might ban it, whatever, but here's how we do it. So we right click, and then we press view on our Pokemon, and then you should see your little Pokemon up here. Then here's your total level, here's your EXP, and so what you want to do is go to your level cap. Say my level cap is 12, then I'm at 12, so I go to 13, which is 1 above your level cap, and then you go to the total XP, take the final number, so in this case it's 7, and then you subtract 1 from it, and then you get 6, and then now you see it's level 12 here. So then then you right click where you want to put your Pokemon, presumably right back to where it was, then you press set, and then now whenever you click like view on another one, view here, you'll see that it's at that 6 that we set it to. So now how do we see the stats of our Pokemon? Well, there's a nifty tab up here that says stats, and we go here and we can see the IVs of our Pokemon and the EVs of our Pokemon. And Ancestral X is a hack that disables EVs, but if yours doesn't, you can just set your IVs here and voila. So here's your IVs, and it goes up to 31, and you can see my cast forms has an HP IV of 30, which is really good. And then special attack of 27, which is really good. And you can see here it shows what your nature does. So I'm modest, which we can see back here. So it boosts my special attack and it lowers my attack. And then it says your total base stats, total IVs and EVs. And it also says your hidden power type, which can be helpful. And then there's buttons down here that says randomize EVs and IVs. You don't really want to press this button because there's not really use for it. But randomize IVs can be helpful if you just want to go to like after the rival fight or something in Pokemon X, or just save further on into the game than right before your starter, because it can just save some time, and then whenever you save and then put it in here, then you can press randomize IVs like it would be for a normal starter. It would just be random every time. And then so if we change anything here, remember to press set. So now, after we learned how to edge and learned how to check our IVs of our Pokemon, how do we do the final step, which is adding items? Well, you can change your held items here by clicking this drop-down menu next to held item and putting whatever you want. Or you could go to your save tab up here. There's a lot of things, but it's not very overwhelming if you just look for what you need. Right here, it says items, which is what you want. You go here, and then you have your tabs of items. And so this tab is where you put your max repels, your Pokeballs, whatever you want to hack in. and like your stones or your gems if you're playing Gen 5. You don't want to hack anything into key items. TMs, you don't really want to hack your things in, but if you want to, make sure you type the number of the TM instead of the name of the move. And the most important part is the medicine tab. And this can be different for Gen 3, I think, but I think the rare candies go in the normal items tab. But you can see here rare candies. You can actually buy rare candies in Ancestral X, which is why I'm not hacking them in, because it's sort of a challenge to manage your money and manage your levels if you want to, but you can do whatever you want. But here's where you can hack in rare candies. How you do that is you find somewhere that it says none, or I guess you could write over a pre-existing rare candy, but you type rare candy and you see it already pops up. You don't even have to finish it. And then you click over here to the count, and then you press 999, and then you click save. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want that to happen. And then here's berries. You see I have 999. I have edited all of this. In fact, I'm going to do that later. But this is because whenever you get to a berry growing spot, you effectively get infinite items. And this is what we do with hacking ourselves items. It's just a way of making the game easier for us in the least amount of, it takes the least amount of time. So when anything becomes infinite, like say you get thief, then that's infinite items, infinite anything. So it's like, if you run into a route that has a wild Pokemon that has a thief item, you have infinite of those held items. They'll just take a very long time if you want to get infinite of them. And another thing that most people do is hacking in full restores and max elixirs, because it's essentially just a Pokemon Center on the go, so you don't have to run back to it. Which I play with on Gen 5, but on Gen 6 and Gen whatever, I don't really play with it, especially because mobile PC codes, which are cheat codes, which I can get into later, are very prevalent. So you remember to press save when you're done editing. You press cancel if you don't want to, or you want to revert your changes. And if you ever mess up anything, you can just drag your save file back in and it will revert the changes. You'll see my cast form is, yeah, you see any unsaved changes. So when you're done editing your save file, how do you get it back into your game? That is the main question, right? So what we do is we press File, then Export Save. Okay, this is the most important part. Otherwise your changes will not be in effect. So what we're looking for here is the XP of my cast form in my box to be at 1 to level up, because that's what edging is. So we press Export Save. It should say main here, or whatever you name your save. Make sure it's the same as your one that you're overwriting, unless you want to make a backup. Then you press save. Main already exists. It's fine, replace it. And then it has this message to where it exported to. And then you press OK. And with Citra, this is really easy, because after you're done editing, what you can do is go back to your game, press emulation, and restart. And then you'll see that our changes can take effect. Here's our cast form, summary, and you see right there, 1 XP to level up. So we're already back to where we were when we saved, and now we just have 1 XP to level up, so we can go into the gym battle, and then anything that we kill, or we could have an experience share on, and then all of our mons could be level 17 or whatever. It just makes gym leaders that much easier. So now if you're a hardcore Nuzlocke in a game, this is the most important part: exporting your Pokemon into a calculator. If we go back to where our save file was, how do we do that? So if we look at our party, we can see all of these Pokemon. Now if we want to export them individually, we go View, Tools, Showdown, Export Set to Clipboard. And you can see here it says I exported the barrel, and that's a barrel. Or you could do tools, showdown, export party, and that exports your entire party to your clipboard, or your current box, which is just whatever you're highlighted here. Once you've copied it, how do you import it into a calculator? Well, what you want to do is go into your calculator, which I have here as just a little app that I made a Chrome shortcut of. And this is the Ancestral X Calc. Make sure your Pokemon calculator is one that fits your game. So I don't think there's anyone specific for vanilla games, but any hacks, there should probably be a calculator out there now, especially if it's Gen 5, because this HZLA one is really good. You see how many hacks are in here? There should be the one that you're playing in here, and if not, then you just got to do some looking around. But once we've copied it, we can go to the import options, and this is a little different if you're using the showdown calculator. But you'll see there's a import/export box, which you just click into, and then you press paste. And then you can see the barrel that I had here is now inside of my calculator. I press import. It says successfully imported one set. And if it doesn't say this, maybe try deleting like Fulloet -yellow. Just delete the -yellow. You know, it's make sure it's just the Pokemon. Otherwise it will be a little weird. So we've done that, and now it shows up on this here. There's a lot of Pokemon here, but I just imported the barrel. So I click the barrel, and then it pops up here. And then now I can see all my IVs. I can see my nature, my ability, my held item, and my status condition. This is good for setting if you have guts. My type, my gender, which doesn't always work on the opponent's team, my level, the current HP, which is good for altering if you want to make sure that you're not dead to a crit or a certain thing. And then here's all your moves. And you can change these around and also make sure that you play around with critical hits, because those can end your run very quickly. So now, say we want to go against the leader Viola's Pokemon. We can go to, we can just type in Viola, and we can see all of her Pokemon. Or we could just say, look up Dwebble in there. And then it has our entire team, and then the Pokemon, and then everything that I just said. So now we can see how much our moves will do. These are all of our moves, and these are all of our opponent's moves. Basically, over here, you can click between the moves and see it changes down here. So it says guaranteed 2-hit KO. It'll do this much %. So that means I will always kill the opponent's Pokemon in 2 hits, which is this Dwebble. Or I could switch to Aqua Jet, which goes over 100%, which is a guaranteed OHKO. Now, say that we kill the Dwebble. How do we know that? How do we know what's coming in next? Well, there's a very handy thing with the HZLA calculator, which is this little red outline and the red highlighted word. The red outline thing is the thing that will switch in if you kill this Pokemon. Say Bibarel kills Dwebble, then that means that the red outlined will get sent in. So in this case it's Surskit, because Giga Drain has the highest power. So maybe we want to calculate, oh, what happens if Surskit's in? Then, oh, we're faster? But what if it's in the rain because of Swift Swim? Oh, well, now we're not faster, because we can see when we alter the rain, then her speed doubles because of Swift Swim. So it's very important to play around with these things in here, especially the doubles and singles, and the weather. Another thing that is very important is, say, she sends in Wormadam, who has Quiver Dance, which is a setup move, right? But how do we calculate if she has a special attack and special defense boost and speed? How do we know that we're still faster? Well, do we do the calculations in our head? No, because we're doing a calculator. What you do is say she uses Quiver Dance, which is raising special attack, special defense, and speed. So what we can do here is add a +1, and +1 because she's used Quiver Dance once. Say she's used Swords Dance, right? We go to attack and then +2. Say she used Swords Dance twice. We don't go +3, we go +4 because it's raising it 2 stages, and these are the stages of attack. Say we use Charm, which is -2 attack. We go here, and there's -2 attack. But it's very important to calculate these stat changes if you want to win. Now it's up to you to plan your fights. As far as I know, there is no good flowchart maker for any Pokemon battles, which I really wish there was, and I really want to make, or I'm not technically skilled enough to make it. So if anyone has any flowchart makers for specifically Pokemon battles that makes it really easy to plan out battles, please put it in the comments below. I will pin you, I'll do anything. It would be a very cool tool to show off and use. But that's pretty much it for the calculator. Make sure that you have your Pokemon's levels accurate, and IVs accurate, but that's it for the calculator. Now my last section that I want to just touch on is and what cheat codes you should be using. Well, I think the best cheat codes are ones that make it easier for you to play the game, but do not make it cheating. So adding a rare candy cheat code would be good if you don't want to use PKHaX. Adding a mobile PC cheat code is very helpful if you want quick access to your death box, or you want to quickly make adjustments to your team. And then of course there's ones like, multiplying your berries by 255 or something like that. There's also EV and IV checker ones, but I've never gotten them to work. And there's also cosmetic ones, like I'm using a no outline code for Pokemon X and Y, which you can see here makes Pokemon look very, very cool in Pokemon X and Y. And this works basically just for Citra. I don't know of any other 3DS emulator that, off the top of my head. But you can see here all the Pokemon have no outlines. That's basically it for the tutorial. I will drop everything that I have mentioned in this video in the description so you can check everything out, and good luck on your runs. Bye!